We're going to continue to solve equations, and the thing that's going to be different will be the fact that these will have fractions in them. So that is certainly something new. All of the properties that we've studied so far are the same. What's new is this very first step, which I've been marking as chapter 4 in the past, but it says if there are fractions, multiply all terms by the LCD of all the fractions. All right, remember the multiplication property. You can multiply the left side by something as long as you multiply the right side also. Now, we've not really used this property. We've added the same thing to both sides. We've subtracted the same thing from both sides. We've divided by the same number, coefficients. But now we're going to use this aspect of our equality properties. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing we're going to do in probably in all of these properties. All right, let's take a look at some. All right, I'm going to give myself plenty of space here. I have the problem 8/9 x is equal to negative 3/18. Now, several things are going to happen in these problems. First of all, there may be fractions in the equation, and there may be answers that are fractions for the first time. All right, I look at this, and step number 1 in solving equations now, if I go back, if there are fractions, multiply all terms by the LCD. All right, let's do that. All right, my denominators are 9 and 18. The LCD, the least common denominator for 9 and 18, is 18. It's what they will both go into. Now, I don't put them over 18. I use 18 because this is an equation. I'm going to multiply 18 times, and I did it in red. 8/9 x is equal to 18 times negative 3/18. Now, each one of these is a little fraction problem that I need to, a little multiplication problem to simplify. Okay, this 18 is really over 1. 9 goes in there once, 9 goes into 18 2 times. That's going to happen because the red 18 is the least common denominator. So now what do I have left? I have 2 times 8 times x, which is 16x. On the left side, the red 18's over 1, 18 goes in there once, 18 goes in there once, and that leaves me with simply a negative 3. I go through the rest of my problems. There's nothing to simplify. The rest of my steps. There are not x's on both sides, so let's focus over here. Is there a constant? No. 16 is a coefficient, so I will divide by 16, divide by 16. X is equal to. Now, it says up here that your answer should be an integer, if it goes in evenly, or a fraction, not a decimal. So you don't get to have a decimal answer. Does 16 go into negative 3? No. That means simplify it and leave it. That sometimes feels a little awkward, but that's exactly what you're supposed to do. All right, let's look at number 2. I have z over 3 plus 4 is equal to 4 over 3. All right, it's an equation. It's got some fractions in it. So the first thing I need to do is think about the LCD. The denominator is 3. The denominator is 1. The denominator is 3. So the LCD is 3. I'm going to multiply 3 times z over 3 plus 3 times 4. Just because that doesn't have a denominator, you can't skip it. You're distributing the 3 to all the terms on the left. And on the right side, it's 3 times 4/3. So you have to do each one of these. Every term in the equation, whether it's a fraction or not, has to be multiplied by the LCD in order to maintain equality. All right, the first one, the red 3's over 1. Those divide out, and I just get z. Plus, excuse me, 3 times 4 is 12. Equal sign on the right hand side, that 3 is over 1, those divide out, and I get 4. The answer to this equation is the same as the answer to this equation with fractions. I can't simplify. I don't have z's on both sides focused over here. This is a constant, so I will do the opposite, which is subtract 12. That leaves me with z is equal to -8. And that is so much easier than trying to actually work the problem with the fractions in it. All right, let's take a look at number 3. I have m over 6 minus m is equal to 5. The first thing I notice is that there are fractions. Well, there's at least one fraction. The least common denominator will be the only denominator, which is 6. I'm going to multiply this term by 6, this term by 6, and this term by 6. Every term has to be multiplied. So it's 6 times m over 6 minus 6 times m equals 6 times 5. I have to simplify each of those products. The first one, because I'm multiplying a fraction, I have to put the 6 over 1. Those divide out, and I get m minus, this will be 6m, is equal to 30. Now, after we get rid of the fractions, remember the first step is, can you simplify? Well, yes, I have like terms on the left side. A positive 1 and a negative 6m gives me negative 5m, because I subtract and keep the sign of the larger, and that's equal to 30. I don't have m's on both sides, focused over here. The negative 5 is a coefficient, so I will divide by it. Don't change its sign when you divide. M is negative 6. So this time, I got an integer answer. All right, let's look at number 4. I have 1/5 minus 7/4 is equal to y over 20. When you have an equation that has fractions, you look for the LCD. The least common denominator of 5, 4, and 20 is 20. I'm going to multiply each of these terms by 20. So it's 20 times 1/5 minus 20 times 7/4 equals 20, whoops, kind of scooted over there, 20 times y over 20. So I need to look at this product, and this product. All right, the first one, you're multiplying by a fraction, so you put it over 1. 5 goes in there once, 5 goes in there 4 times. You have 4 times 1, which is 4. Next, put the 20 over 1. 4 goes in there once, 4 goes in there 5 times. I have a minus 5 times 7, which is minus 35. Equal sign. These 20s divide out, and I get y. So I have 4 minus 35. Those are like terms. I can subtract, keep the sign of the larger. That's minus 31 is y, and the problem's done. Remember, when equations have fractions, you get to use the LCD as a tool. All right, let's take a look at number 5. We're just going to do several of these so you get lots of exposure. I have z over 6 is equal to z over 7 minus 4. I need the LCD. The denominators are 6 and 7. The denominator here is a 1. The common denominator will be 42. So I'm going to have 42 times z over 6, and I'm used to having my barrier there, and then 42, whoops, 42 times, I lost my denominator, I'm so sorry, z over 7, and finally 42 times 4. So I multiplied 42 times each one of these three terms. The first one, because you're multiplying times a fraction, put the 42 over 1. 6 goes in there once, 6 goes in there 7 times. I have 7z is equal to, put the 42 over 1. 7 goes in there once, 7 goes in there 6 times. That's 6z minus, these are just integers, so multiply for 168. All right, now there's no simplifying that I can do, but I do have variables on both sides. So I'm going to subtract 6z from both sides. That leaves me with a single z. 1z is equal to negative 168, and I think I'm done. All right, got a few more. I have 11/12 y is equal to 1/4. All right, if I look at those denominators, because I see those fractions, the least common denominator for 12 and 4 is 12. So I'm going to multiply 12 times 11/12 y is equal to 12 times 1/4. You get to do this because it's an equation. You can't do this with just an algebraic expression. So then it's the equal sign that gives me that power. So those 12s divide out and I get 11y is equal to, put that 12 over 1, 4 goes in there once, 4 goes in there 3 times. I have 11y is 3. I can't simplify. I don't have y's on both sides. Focused over here. The 11 is a coefficient, so I'm going to divide by it. It feels a little awkward. 11 does not go into 3. You can't simplify or reduce, so you're done. That's your answer. All right. Number 7. I have x over 7 plus 5 is equal to 1/7. All right, the LCD, which is the only denominator, is 7. So I'm going to multiply 7 times x over 7 plus 7 times 5. Don't neglect to multiply that by 7. And it equals, 7 times 1/7. All right, I need to get back to my regular pen. All right, a few technical problems here. All right, I'm going to simplify each one of these. These 7s divide out, because that one's over 1. That leaves me with x plus, that product is 35, equal sign. Those 7s divide out, and I get 1. I can't simplify on either side. I don't have x's on both sides. Focused over here is 35 plus 35 is a constant, so I'll do the opposite, which is minus 35. Of x is negative 34. All right. Look at number 9. Negative 9 over 2x is equal to 9 over 4 minus 7 over 4. Now I'm going to take a little shortcut. You might want to do this sometimes. It's just a shortcut in writing, not in logic. All right, look at your denominators. The LCD is 4. So I'm going to multiply 4 times the first one. You see I'm sneaking it in. 4 times the next term, and 4 times the last term. I just spaced out the problem so that I could do that. You can do that or not, but you're going to need to multiply every term by that LCD. All right, the first one. Put the 4 over 1. 2 goes into itself once. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times negative 9 times x is negative 18x. Equal sign. 4's divide out, and I get 9. Minus 4's divide out, and I get 7. Can I simplify on either side? Yes. 9 minus 7 is 2. So I have negative 18x is 2. There's no more simplifying. Focused over here. That's a coefficient, so I'm going to divide by negative 18. And x is, now negative 18 does not go in there evenly, but that does reduce. And remember, up here in the instructions it says always have a simplified answer. So this is negative 1/9. The negative, you could have it in the top, you could have it in the bottom, or you could have it out in front of the fraction. Those are all equivalent. So just whatever you want to do. Okay, last example. I have m over 3 plus 4 is equal to m over 2 plus 6. And I think you can see I kind of spread this out so that maybe I can use my little shortcut notation. The LCD, I have a 3 and a 2 as the only denominators, so the LCD is 6. I'm going to multiply 6 times that term, 6 times that term, 6 times that term, and 6 times that term. Okay. For the first one, put the 6 over 1, 3 goes in there once, 3 goes in there 2 times, I get 2m. Plus, these are not fractions, so just multiply for 24, equal sign. This is times a fraction, so put it over 1. 2 goes in there once, 2 goes in there 3 times, so I get 3m plus 36. Okay, so each of these products had to be simplified. Now, there's nothing I can simplify on the left or on the right, but I do have m's on both sides. I choose to get rid of the smaller one, so I'm going to subtract 2m from both sides. That gives me 24 is equal to implied 1m plus 36. I'm going to focus on this variable side, get rid of this constant by subtracting 36. I end up with negative 12 is equal to, I won't write the 1, just m. And the problem is finished. So the thing that was new in this lesson was if the original problem has fractions, you can use the multiplication property of equality, multiply the left side, distribute it, multiply the right side, distribute it to every term, and the fractions will divide out. The denominators will divide out. So I hope that helps. Practice on equations with fractions.